So, a lot of you have been very kind and written me notes and letters on Facebook and email, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Um, I just want to clear something up. A lot of your letters seem to be kind of aimed at cheering me up, making sure that I kind of feel better about what's going on. Um, and I just want to say that far from being depressed or upset, um, this has been the happiest time in my life. I mean, hands down. And I think that's kind of telling in a way because it's certainly this moment in one's career. Now, I'm not going to generalize, so I'll say in my career, uh, it's very unnerving. There's a lot of discomfort. Um, but as any of you know who have become artists, discomfort is not the same as unhappiness. So you can do a lot of, you can be, when I was starting out as an artist, I had some very uncomfortable moments on that path. Times when I felt very hopeless and very much like didn't know what I was doing, and if I was ever going to make anything out of this whole thing, or if I'm going to have to give up at some point. Those are all really uncomfortable feelings, but I never for once really thought that I was on the wrong path. This is very similar. There are a lot of uncomfortable moments in all of this, but not at all do I feel like I'm on the wrong path. That wasn't necessarily always the case. Like I said, I'm about 10 years into this, and in 2006 and 7, when this thing hit me and I didn't see it coming, and I was feeling very kind of blindsided by it all. I was pretty I was pretty unhappy. I did that piece, Prometheus, early on in this whole thing, and that was a very early sign that this wasn't just something bad; it was something hopeful. So a lot of where my discomfort kind of came from was knowing there was something bigger, more exciting, more interesting out there. At the same time that I lost my grip to some degree on the thing I'd always done or the person I'd always been. And I think it was always in the back of my mind, that feeling like, it used to be different. And I thought, well, this is just the way it is, though. This is what being an adult means. It means what being a father means, and a provider, and somebody who's surviving in the world. That's just what that comes with the territory. But I think in the back of my mind, I always thought, yes, but it wasn't always this way. And so when I started getting these little glimpses here and there, like I described them, a little moment of joy that kind of came through. It wasn't that I never felt happy, but I never felt joy. And that's new, and I want more of that. And so, again, just like in my art, I started to try to posture myself toward life so that I could get more of those moments of joy. And what was funny was, over time, I got more of them. So that where I am now is in a place where I'm fairly regularly feeling that joy and that peace. Not all the time, obviously, but more than I used to. It's now become a regular part of my sort of daily life. It sounds like, oh, that's very uncomfortable because you're talking about things falling apart. You're talking about identity disintegrating. You're talking about your career, losing your career, not knowing where to find a new one. That all sounds kind of scary, and it is kind of scary. And it is very uncomfortable. The irony is that also is making room for joy in a way that it hasn't since I was very young. So I very much appreciate your comments. I very much appreciate your well wishes. It is a little scary sometimes, but it's also the best place I've ever been, and I want to make sure that I share that too. So Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you next week.